Hey guys, 𝗵𝗂𝘃 here. So, on my Discord server, a few people have said that they wanted some explosions in the game. So, I thought of some different ideas of things I could make to give to you guys, and this is what I came up with. So today I'm going to be showing you my concept for a homing rocket launcher. So this is in a data pack, so if you guys want to use this in your own worlds, you can just download the data pack from the description below. There's also a resource pack that goes with it, but you don't need the resource pack to make everything work. It'll just look a little bit cooler. So to acquire the homing launcher, you just type in trigger homing launcher into the chat, and then you get it. Now how this works is a little bit complicated, but I'll explain it real quick. There's a bunch of different ways I could have made this, but I like the way that this one came out. So if you right click anywhere, it'll make a clicking sound. And once you select a target, this will select most entities, pretty much everything in the game other than like item frames and items and stuff like that. So you look at the entity you want to target, you click, and it'll select it like that. Now if you click anywhere else, it'll deselect it, or if you click on a different one, it'll switch targets. So let's say I want this pig here. If I click on it again, it'll do this. There you go. There's your rocket launcher. Now this is fully homing, so it's really hard to show. If I hit this cow and he's running around and I select him, you can't really tell, but it does follow him. Now the way I made this work is it's accurate to a fault, and that's on purpose. So it'll go towards the target that you've selected. So if this cow ran over there, the rocket coming down from here would curve up and face it. But once it gets into a certain radius, about 8 blocks of where the entity is, it'll stop tracking it and it'll just keep going straight. Which means that if the target moved out of the way before it reached that 8 block distance, which is pretty fast by the way, about half a second to do that, if you move out of the way, it could actually avoid it. So this works in a multiplayer scenario. So if you wanted to use this with other players, then they could outrun it if possible. You could also mess with the speed of the rocket and how accurate it is and when it loses its accuracy. All that can be changed in the data pack. And if you need help with that, you can actually join my Discord server below, while also giving me more suggestions for videos like this, because I do read all those. I went around all day yesterday when making this thing. I just killed every single animal I could find in the game. I must have killed at least 200-300 mobs. It's insane. It's very satisfying. And if you wanted to, while the target's still locked on, you can just go like this. Once the target dies and it has nothing to lock onto, the rockets will just keep going straight forward, so usually in the same direction that it's going. It also works at a really long range too. It just takes a while to get to it. But we can follow the rocket all the way over to that guy. I feel like this is borderline animal abuse. It's fine. The other thing is, if the rocket hits a block before it reaches the entity, it will actually blow up. So if it hits anything that isn't, it will go through like grass, water too. I'll show that in a second. But if it hits like this leaf block, maybe if I can, it's really hard to show, but if that, well, he's stuck. Well, I can't really show it, but I will show it in multiplayer in a second. So we've got some dolphins out here, and I'll show you that if I lock onto it here, it'll go through all the kelp here, through the water, and it'll still hit the target. Ooh, it actually got to. I haven't actually tried this yet, but theoretically it should work on anything, like a boat maybe? Okay, so it targeted it, but I'm pretty sure boats can't have the glowing effect, but I think it still knows that it's a target, so it should still work. So if you want to really show those boats, there you go. So now we're on my server and I have my little test subject here just to show you that this does work in multiplayer. So if I can target him just like any other thing. And yeah. I should also point out that if you're doing this in multiplayer, the server has to be in anything other than peaceful mode. If it's in peaceful mode, it's not going to actually damage the player. So now to kind of show you how you can actually dodge the rockets, I'm going to have my friend here run away from me and see if he can evade these. So we'll see what happens. Okay, yikes. It's really hard to target when he's moving. So you can see he's sort of getting away from him a little bit. A little bit. Now that was a good example of how if it hits a block before the player, it'll hit that instead. Because he was hiding behind a tree. And it'll hit that if it curves into. Oh no. That's unlucky. There is one issue in multiplayer, and that's that it doesn't work if you have multiple launchers at the same time. The way I have it set up is it'll only be able to target one thing on the server at the same time. Anything else, like if we both had one and we try to target things, it would only be able to select one entity at the same time. And if we both shot, it would only target that one entity, no matter where we are in the world. So it's not fully multiplayer friendly. I do know a few ways that I could make it work, but it would take a lot more time, and I don't really want to do that, if I'm being honest. But if you do want to have it so only one person has the launcher at once, you can do it like this. If you're just hunting people down, that would totally work fine. So now I'm going to try and briefly explain what's going on with all the mechanics here. So I'm going to do my best to explain what I've done here. So if you remember in the last video, I talked about raycasting, which is how I made the draw my thing, where I would point somewhere, it would draw a line to wherever I'm pointing, and then it'll do something whenever it hits a block there. So I'm doing generally the same thing here. This time, wherever I click, it's drawing a line straight to wherever I'm looking. If it hits a block, it stops. But if it encounters an entity before it reaches a block, it'll select that one. And anytime I select a new one, it'll swap over. And anytime it just hits a block without hitting an entity, it'll deselect whatever I'm targeting. Now what I've done is after I've selected a target, if I select the same target again, that's how it knows to fire the rocket. Now the way the rocket works is it's an entity that I'm shooting from the player. It comes out and it's always facing the entity that's targeted. So it'll keep teleporting in that direction towards the entity, no matter which way it goes. Now, once that rocket reaches an 8-block radius of the entity that's targeting, it'll stop looking at the target and it'll just keep going straight from wherever it is. So if this guy's moving around and I'm coming in as the rocket and he moves past, but he's already entered the radius, I'm just going to keep going in this direction. That's the best way I can describe what's going on here. There's a lot of particles and a lot of little details and stuff that fill it in, but that's the general idea of it. Now, if you want to use this for yourself or custom make it for a project or something, you can join my Discord server and ask me anything about it. I'm usually online and I'll try and help you in any way that I can. If you need to know how to switch some commands around to best fit your map or whatever you're working on, I'll definitely help you out with that. I could have also made a normal rocket launcher that would just shoot in a straight line wherever you looked, but I thought this would be a little bit more interesting. Another cool little thing that I didn't really talk about before, this is unintentional, but I just thought it was kind of interesting. It'll always target whoever is the target, who is ever highlighted in red. So if I was looking at this guy and I shot a rocket, but then switched over to this, the rocket actually moves midair and switches to that target, which is really cool. I think that makes things a little bit interesting. Obviously, that wouldn't really work in real life, and I could have definitely made a workaround for that, but I kind of like it. I think it's kind of cool. Anyways, that's about all I have for you guys today. The download for this is in the description. It's in a Datapack form, so if you want to put this into your own world, all you have to do is open your world file and put this into the Datapacks folder. There's also a resource pack that's included with it, which has only the actual rocket launcher model itself. It doesn't actually change anything else in the game, so you don't have to worry about that, and it won't overwrite anything else either. The resource pack isn't completely necessary, but it definitely makes it look a lot cooler when you're shooting with it. Make sure you guys give me some more ideas too, because I like doing this kind of small concept thing that you guys can take and do whatever you want with. So if you guys give me some more ideas in the comments or on my Discord server, that'd be great. Thanks for watching, guys. My Patreon's in the description below, and all the links to everything else is also down there as well. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.